What's up, guys? Welcome to On the Table podcast. On the Table was inspired by conversations held over at Built Body Works, and we've talked about success, business, failures, etc. And I wanted a platform for them to share their stories with you. So today we got Boo. Dude, Boo, I've known you since before I started Built Body Works, actually.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I thought the first time we met was when I came to...
No, it was over at the place in Taylorsville.
Yeah.
I hadn't started Built yet.
That's right.
Yeah, dude.
That's weird. I didn't even think about that. You started it like right after that, though, right?
It was a few months after.
Yeah.
Boo is... Can I even say this? Is this controversial?
I don't think
one of the top realtors with Edge.
Yeah.
But he's much more than that. Boo, actually, we're going to introduce this really quick. Boo would almost be considered the co-founder of On the Table podcast.
Stop.
Him and I have had serious. That's where it all began.
I was on the table when we had the conversation.
It's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Well, and it just came from a place. I was like, we've been working. I mean, every couple of weeks. I mean, shout out to you, right? First things first. I had a couple of injuries growing up. I'm not a professional athlete. I'm not a bodybuilder. Like, I don't think that I fit who, at least at that time, was a lot of who your clientele was. But I had some like not major, nothing serious, but just injuries that were just bugging me that like I couldn't enjoy my life. I had tried chiropractors, I had tried physical therapists, I had tried acupuncture, I had tried dry needle, like I had tried so much stuff. So shout out to Brands, because now I can enjoy my life without a lot of like the annoying pains that I had for a long time. So kudos to you.
Love it. Dude,
but I realized the conversations that we were having were just like, dude, this is a very interesting space that you operate in, where you have to be able to read the room for 45 minutes in a very intimate's not the right word, but like people don't have clothes on. Like it can kind of be an uncomfortable vulnerable is a great word for it, right? Yeah. So I think that the stories and the stuff that you hear from your perspective are just totally different than anything that I will ever get from somebody, right?
Right. No. And that's exactly where this all came in. I mean, dude, I look up to your business expertise, and for you, I feel like it just comes so natural. I feel like Boo always has an answer to everything. Every time I ask a question, he's got a perspective. But dude,
I'm a salesperson, Brance. That's what you're supposed to have.
That's true. That's true.
If I don't have that, I'm not doing my job, right?
True. Would you say that's kind of where everything began for you, as far as just chasing after and hustling after what you want?
I wouldn't even say I ever made the decision just to hustle. Like I think that that's just something that was innate. Like I don't think that that's I don't know. I might catch flack for that, but in my opinion, that's not something. It's not something that you turn on and off. It's not something that sleeps. It's not something that rises to the occasion when you need it to, right? Hustle's not like that. Like I think hustle is something that you are born with, and whether or not you put yourself in a position to feel that and to allow yourself to hustle is up to you, right? Like I think when are we allowed to mention Rob?
Go ahead.
When you were working for Rob, when you're working for somebody else like that, it's not the same, right?
No, it's true.
And the second that you left, I would say that you have thrived working for yourself. Yeah. And I think it's not because you're hustling any more than you were. It's just you're now in a position where that hustle means more, right?
Dude, I love it.
Yeah.
This is it. This is exactly why you're here. That's totally it.
But like I would say I actually learned how to conduct myself around people and like in public. I started at a young age. Like my dad was always one of those people. It's like, you're going to learn how to talk to people. So it's something, I mean, I think Maddie at 5 years old is capable of having an adult conversation, because it's something that I'm going to force with my kids too.
Okay.
But I would say the person that you see in front of you today is the refinement probably of going through and learning how to sell houses and learn how to operate as an adult in the real world, right?
Right. Because I mean, there's people skills initiated in all of that, but when it comes to, I mean, gosh, you've got the market, whatever. Like, how do you feel like you keep going? We just talked about the hustle, but you get into motivation or whatever. How do you feel like you just keep going, dependent upon what's going on around you?
I think it's more perspective than anything else. And here's what I mean, right? You work with the body. Yeah. How often are people coming in saying everything feels great?
Never.
You're dealing with people's failures, right? Do you want to know where those failures are, or do you want to just guess?
Oh, I want to know where they are.
And are you pushing those failures? Like, how are you working around those failures that people are having? Like when I come in and say my shoulder's hurting, how are you operating around that failure?
Just by the study of the body and knowing that.
But like you have an approach, right? You go through your entire process. You heat it up. Right. I've gone through the process with you. You heat it up, you scrape, you work, and then you change the blood flow on it and you do the cupping.
Yep.
Right. You have your process to work through failure.
Absolutely.
If you don't have something like that in place on a business level, you're going to be in a terrible spot.
True.
Because failure is always going to be there. It doesn't matter how careful you try to be. It doesn't matter what you try to do. Failure is always going to be prevalent in business.
Yes.
I think the people that you see that are at the top of their game have a process and a procedure like you do to operate through failure when times get shitty.
Right. Dude, I love that. Do you feel like, I mean, again, you said you started at a young age. I think the number one thing I see in business and that is most important is like people skills.
Yeah.
And like learning to talk to people. I think sometimes people have to learn to develop that, whether, introvert, extrovert. But I've seen a lot of introverts that can be very successful learning to talk to people. And that's just you. You just talk to people.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that creates a lot of, I don't know, that's like a natural networking piece for you, you know?
Yeah, but once again, I would say that there's a lot of people that are good at talking to people. It's the way that people leave feeling you though, after that matters. People care about how they feel after they meet with you and after they talk to you. It's not the in the moment present skill that matters.
Yeah.
It's how they feel when they walk away. So I would say that is one of the shifts that I made is it's not about the upfront people skills. It's about how they leave you feeling, right?
That's
the majority
huge.
of people aren't going to walk into a house and buy that house in 30 minutes, 45 minutes. When are they going to buy it? An hour or two later when they're sitting at home and they realize, okay, we got to make a change.
Yeah.
Right. So I would say that the people skills, it's more than just people skills. It's the people skills when you're not with them.
Love it. And how you leave them
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah. And how you leave them feeling that will ultimately determine how well you do in sales.
Dude, that's incredible. I've thought about that a lot when it comes to body work. Like anybody can go to somebody else, but I've realized it's the relationships that you build, the experience, the trust, and there's so much to, I don't know, getting to know people and leaving them how they feel. I think that's
it's not only that, but like
huge.
you have done a fantastic job. Even if I text you back or not, you always text me the next day and ask how I'm feeling. When you get that information, are you saving that for later and like using that the next time I come in based on how I responded?
100%.
There's a lot of people in sales that don't do that, but it's based around how people are feeling when they're not around you is when they'll make the decisions, right? When they'll know how they're feeling. Somebody that just got work done isn't going to know until the next morning how well the work worked, right?
Especially if you don't have somebody checking in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's follow up is just as important as people skills on that, right?
Dude, I love it. This is where I really wanted to decipher. I know your thing is real estate, homes, etc. But dude, you have such a business mindset. Like, are there other things that you've thought about doing? Do you feel like you kind of stick with one thing and just capitalize on it? Or do you have 10 other things that you want to try and you go for it? Because we've talked about this on the podcast before. Some people have ideas, and the scariest part is just never going for it.
Yeah, I think I have ideas all the time.
Yeah,
like I think that's never a thing. But I've been at the same company for 6. May will start the 7th year that I've been there.
Nice.
And there comes a point where you have to understand the situation that you are in. Okay. I think the majority of the time when people have those ideas, the situation that they're in is probably not as bad as they're thinking that it is. There is always going to be things to learn in the situation that you're in. So measure twice, right? Before you leave and go chase some grand idea that you have, thoroughly think through the idea. And I think that's what I'm starting to learn, right?
Okay.
Because there's always going to be ideas. There's always going to be the idea of the grass is always greener. There's always going to be something. For me, I'm in a place that allows me to do what I'm really, really good at and will pay me the money that I think I'm worth. I don't feel the need to go and do something leaving the situation that I am in.
Okay.
Having said that, though, I'm also going to apply that same principle and make sure that my life lines up with exactly what I want it to be. And I'm not going to do anything in my life that I don't also want to be spending my time on and making that decision. Yeah.
Dude, I love that. I think people need to hear that. I remember a while ago, one time we worked and we were talking about the book Winning with Tim Grover. Yeah. And what was it? Like the late nights or getting woken up in the middle of the night. I can't remember what he calls it. Like the ghosts in the closet, the demons. Yeah. That come at you at night. Yeah. But like, at what point for you, I mean, you did instill the fact that like, you're going to carry kind of the same principles despite what decision you make. Yeah. I think the thing I see in successful people is that they're not afraid to be decisive. Yeah. Right. How do you instill?
I think they're more afraid to be indecisive because they understand the consequences just as much as not waiting. Right. So they're doing a great job of evaluating both sides of a decision before they make it. Okay. And I think they are more aware of the consequences of not reacting, whereas the majority of people, until they can switch their mindset, are more paranoid about what happens when they do react, right?
Okay. The after.
Yeah, they can't look at both sides of it. They can't look at both sides of it. And I think when you can actually evaluate it as a choice that you are making and not just something that you're changing your life to go and do, but it's a choice. There's two sides to every choice that you're making.
Right.
I think people that are successful in life are very aware of both sides of that coin, and they're making their decision deliberately because they know what's on the other side.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree to that. Absolutely. Do you feel like that in any type of business, real estate, whatever the industry, that anyone can be successful? Or do you feel like, and this is just following after the decision making, do you feel like it's something that is built, or I guess going back to the beginning, maybe you have it or you don't?
Yeah.
You know?
Time is an interesting thing. It is impressive. I think the stat that Jesse Itzler quotes is that if you were to spend 18 minutes a day for an entire year working on a craft, you will be better than 90% of the population after the first year.
Oh, wow.
At whatever you chose to spend that 18 minutes a day on.
Okay.
I haven't fact checked it. If it's wrong, then someone blame Brands. It's his podcast. But if that is true, to me, that's the equivalent of getting 1% better every day.
Right.
There are things that you can do regardless on the job that you are doing today, the career, the life that you are living today, that you can do to make it 1% better every single day. And you'll be in an entirely different spot in a year, and you will be better than you were a year ago. Having said that, I think it is also incredibly important to find something in your life that you have natural talent towards. If you look at LeBron James, would LeBron James have been as successful if he was trying to be a hockey player? I have no idea.
Right.
I have no idea, but I think LeBron did a great job of, right? He was an all-state recruit football player in high school.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, I forgot about
He was
that.
a dominant football player. He had a decision to make. I think part of what he did really, really well was evaluate, okay, what are my natural talents going to allow me to be the most successful at? And then he went and he applied the same level of work ethic to that.
Okay.
Right? I think it's the exact same thing. If you have a natural talent to do something and you put in the time, you will be exceptional at what you're doing. I think you can still be really, really great at whatever you do just by simply putting in the time. Most people aren't willing to do that, let alone put themselves in a spot where their talents can really shine and then put the time in.
Interesting. And I actually, going back to winning really quick, sorry, that was what Tim Grover said about Kobe and Michael. It's like Michael had the talent. He didn't have to put in as much work.
Yep.
Kobe wanted to work, and so he put in the work, but he also had some natural skill.
He had a lot of natural talent. Yeah.
I read a quote somewhere too, like that anybody can be a genius at something when you spend the time to really learn it, study it.
Yeah.
Anybody can be a genius at whatever they want to do. So that's cool, man. I love it. I think one of my favorite things with you, whenever we talk about business or
when I'm naked laying on your table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
It is a vulnerable spot. That's a great word for it.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah.
I think that's why you create relationships with people.
You get into people's minds quicker, especially because you're in a vulnerable spot and you're sitting there. Like, to sit there one-on-one for an hour with somebody is a long time, right? Like, that is a really long time to fill the space when you're walking around touching them, right? Like, that is no. So like, I think that's its own skill set in and of itself.
Well, that's what creates the natural piece of connection.
Yeah.
When they're already vulnerable, I can actually ask questions. And I'm not, you said, I think you can get into people's heads. I'm not trying to get into your head. I just really care to hear why people do the things they do, who they are, what makes them them.
Yeah.
And when I can't say that I've ever had a session where somebody doesn't open up to me.
Yeah.
You know, about
I think
anything.
it's incredible. That's why I told you, like, a podcast based around that would be awesome. How you deal with the shirtless people. I think you've done a great job. This is a lot more comfortable to talk to you about this stuff than on the table. So
exactly. And that was the original idea. Yeah. Absolutely. When we first talked about it, I think one of my favorite things that I look up to the most, I feel like that always comes back to making decisions, is doing what's best for you and best for your family. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember one time we were talking about, and this is always a touchy subject, price, money, finances, whatever.
Yeah.
We were talking about kind of price point, and I said something about, I speaking of the same subject, I really care about people. I make friends with people, and this is just where my price is, and this is where I feel comfortable. And I don't remember your exact phrase, but you said, wow, you're really paying a lot to make friends.
Yeah.
And it hit me so hard.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about the money. It was also the fact that, like, at the end of the day, no matter what you're chasing, you still have to do what's best for you and what's best for your family. Do you feel like that's something you preach in any realm? Because I feel like any subject we get into, it's still always back to, this is what I feel like is best for me. I'll expand a little bit. Sometimes you make decisions knowing that there's opportunities ahead.
Yeah.
Like the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Sometimes you make decisions that are based on the moment. But do you feel like at the base of everything, because I feel like you and I always get back to, dude, like, this is your realm. This is your world. This is your family.
Yeah.
Right?
When you're making a decision, you're always going to do it with a certain lens on. You're always going to do it. Yeah, you're always like, you viewed you keeping your prices low as taking care of your clients.
Mm-hmm.
That was the perspective that you had.
Right.
There was something inside of young Brant's when he was making it. It wasn't a wrong decision that you made. It wasn't a right decision to make to raise your prices. It was a better decision for you, and we have spent a ton of time going through that detail. So I think when I say you need to do what is best for you, I mean that you need to do everything that you can to remove whatever lens is in front of you and actually view that decision based around what is best for you. And when I mean you, mine's different, right? I brought my daughter here today.
Right, right.
So it's not just what's best for me.
Shout out, Maddie.
Shout out, Maddie. Hi, Maddie.
Hi, Maddie.
You're so cute. So it's not even just about what's best for you, because that sounds more selfish, but I also am a very firm believer that I am a better person today than I was 2 years ago. And it's not because I changed anything around me. It's because I changed everything inside of me.
Yes.
Right. And I got better for myself and for nobody else with no other purpose or intent other than to get better for myself. And I am closer to my wife and I am closer to my kids and I am more effective at my job because of that.
That's it.
And I think when you can eliminate and say, like, if money's not involved in this, is this what Brant's needs to do?
Yes.
And I think of removing what a lot of people focus on when making a professional decision, which is money, and said, what is best for me? What is best for my soul?
That's exactly what I was trying to get out of the question, is the difference between being selfish and doing what's best for you in the grand scheme of things that affects everybody else around.
I think being selfish is giving consideration to those pain points that aren't real. Saying, I'm going to stay because I need to make this much money. Like, to me, that's what being selfish is giving into the discomfort and the pain that you're feeling.
Right.
When you're actually making a decision that's best for you, it doesn't matter what the consequences are from it. It was worth it.
Right.
And that's, I think, the difference. I think that's when it's selfish, is when you're doing it to avoid pain.
Dude, that is money.
Have you ever healed somebody without pain?
No. And I think that you have to get to a certain point of pain to realize the contrast and gain a better lens, a better perspective of what it's like to move forward. I love it. Well, dude, thanks for being here, man.
Of course,
I seriously
I'm stoked to see this come together for you.
Yeah, dude. I have appreciated all your conversations, your natural wisdom, and your ability to see the bigger picture in business and life. So
Yeah, I appreciate
keep doing
that.
your thing, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.